Michael Bolton? Wow, is that your real name?
Yeah.
So are you related to that singer guy?
No, it's just a coincidence.
Oh.
No one in this country can ever pronounce my name right. It's not that hard. Najad.
Yeah, well, at least your name isn't Michael Bolton.
Hi, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. This is a case of the Mondays. Well, anyway, there's a bulldog here. It's the reason I love the Case of the Mondays logo. Today, we're going to be talking about knowing your customer and how important that is to sales and to business in general. I know there's a lot of really experienced people in business that may be watching. So hopefully, whatever I talk about today, I hope it refreshes you and encourages you at the start of the week. So one of the things that I think has just been a standout for me in my business and sales career has been getting to know the customer, and not just who they are as a person, a company, or a culture, but really getting to the point of listening and understanding what is really important to the customer, and how, as a professional and kind of a go-to person, how you can understand if your solutions are actually helpful to your customers. I think I've always followed the process of collaborative sales. So when I'm looking for customers to speak with and to partner with, I'm always looking at what kind of solutions do I have access to, and do they really match up to and make sense for the business. I think some of the worst feelings that people in businesses and people who run businesses can experience is investing their capital into something that doesn't turn out to be helpful. So it's really important in your success to really know your customer, even beyond just understanding the industry and all the things that are around, just our general research whenever you're looking to expand and reach out into your network. So I wanted to stop really quick and say, if you're watching here from YouTube, please subscribe so that you get a weekly notification of when and what topics I'm going to be speaking on, and when the Case of the Mondays is going to air. Hopefully, I'm still kind of getting used to using the streaming platform. So hopefully, whatever I was sharing didn't take away from, or you heard me or whatever. So anyway, back to knowing your customer. I think there's really 3 important points that are something to focus on when you're prospecting and you're developing your customer through the pipeline or through your funnel. whatever you call it. So something I used to do once I kind of got past the fear of making phone calls and talking to people. I mean, at some point, I even was doing all of my sales in person. And there was a period of time in the start of it that I really didn't know how to approach people that I didn't know well or didn't know at all, and start a conversation with them and get them interested in a topic that I kind of wanted to discuss or to bring up. And that was just kind of like a trying to understand how to project my own authentic self into a topic and catch somebody's attention and hopefully start a conversation. So I think that I think that the most important thing is to understand how to ask those open-ended questions and to get the other person talking. And that's kind of how the one of the most important things about knowing your customer is to get them talking and it's really, I always think it's really great to hear somebody talk about kind of the, we all have directed points in a conversation and people respond to that. But when someone elaborates and they share a little piece of something that might be on their mind, maybe it's not directly related to like a sales process, but it's things you can learn about your customer that later on, when you're looking into new services or innovating your own company innovates, then you can remember who might really like to hear about it. So I like to ask a lot of open-ended questions and make people feel comfortable talking about their business with me. And of course, the research behind that is to build a good storyline, like and be able to actually have an authentic conversation that doesn't have a script behind it. I think people loosen up a little bit faster when you're just sort of asking questions and you can express your motivation for calling them or approaching them in a way that's a little less like, selfish. So, and I apologize for my dog kind of just wandering around and making a bunch of noise in the background. She's really my office mate, so I never can tell if it's going to come off in a positive or not. So if down in the comments, if you have some things that you've done that are different and successful in your customer persona and development, I like to discover the pain points just in conversation. Like as I was just previously saying, sometimes it's great to ask a few questions and then have the topic sort of like go on a side street and you find out a little bit about something that's important to the customer and they're really looking, they might be talking about it with you to find out if you have something that can be helpful in that particular aspect and just kind of feel you out. So I think that those are the best conversations when it gets a little off topic and then I can understand if there's like, in the past, there's been times where we kind of get like our general services in sales or your products that are kind of like the main focus of the business. And then there's products that you really could go back internally and ask different departments, oh, hey, this is what the customer said. do we have something we're able to do to like expand on that? So I think that is one of the neatest parts of getting in a conversation with somebody about their business and understanding where they want to go. And I think it's kind of a good example of like how we push each other. Logistics is such an important industry for everybody, and but logistics gets pushed to do things as well by understanding that our customers' businesses are growing and they're innovating, and we have to stay connected to that in order to really continue to be a good servicer. So, another point of really knowing your customer is to have like a system of of storytelling. We take notes, and everyone has like their form of a CRM, or like a file of some sort they can go back to and kind of refresh themselves if there's a process with the customer, and that way when you reconnect, it's not like a restart every single time, and you don't want to have that awkwardness with the person that you're speaking with. So you want them to feel confident in you, that that you're really paying attention. So I use a CRM to kind of keep a record of what conversations I've had and what things are really important to the customer. That way, when I schedule something of a follow-up with them, I can get back on the last point that we were discussing, and start a new conversation with them with a summarization, and make sure that that's still the focus, or if something, that sometimes that can even uncover even something newer that's more important to them, or maybe it wasn't realized in the previous conversation and now it is. So I like to do that to kind of to build on the conversations and the transactions, and then be able to summarize kind of in a storytelling, which I think that is such an important skill. It makes people feel really comfortable. And depending on what side of the fence you are on that, some people really like to have just a scripted phone call, and they lead the conversation. It kind of just goes to a point. And I'm going to stop here and read the notes. Thank you, everybody, for attending. And good morning, Mohammed. Good morning, Bill. Kadir, good morning. Nigel, good morning. Stephen, good morning. Nigel, let's see. Nigel is asking, so yes, Tutu is my Scottish American Bulldog. She was the rescue she's about 9 or so now, but I adopted her when she was 2. I also have a Pomeranian, but Tutu, that was her name at the shelter. And I love dance a lot, so I felt like it was just a meeting of the mind, so I didn't change her name. But she is as sweet as a dog can be. I love having her around in my workday. I think that's one of the amazing things about working from home, is that you can kind of surround yourself with what makes you comfortable. But she's definitely one of the, for a pet, she's the best companion. But don't tell my Pomeranian. I think if I had a bird, I would probably take breaks and spend some time teaching it how to, whistle tunes and stuff. Mohammed, how can we find a new customer. So I think one of the most significant things that I've done throughout the last 10 years or so, that I've either worked in retail sales or construction sales or logistics sales. And even with, I did a little bit of customer service role with in the financial industry through like the tax season. It was very hit and miss, just kind of a sublent for work that I was doing regularly. I think the most significant thing that you can do as a new business and trying to make people aware of your services and to attract customers is to spend time networking and talking about what you're doing. And like I definitely understand from a standpoint that probably, many professionals are probably going, and business owners too, that are going through is sometimes your interest isn't popular, and or you may have a lot of other people who have been in, you're new to the industry that you're in, and other people have been around for a while, and it can be challenging to know where support is at and where the situations and people are at that may not necessarily be supportive. So I think networking is the most important thing. Getting online, creating some content, and not just content that is like, dry, like it's just industry facts that you're just putting on your media, or only talking about that with people. Sometimes it's totally okay to just sort of submerge yourself into a group that you think would benefit from your services, and just get to know everybody, and just have those free conversations that you can share a little bit about yourself and what's important to you, and see if that aligns with them. And a lot of times people do business with people that they like. So Mohammed, I would say that for your friend who started his business, that getting out and networking, and it can be in a lot of different ways. I mean, recently I kind of commented on a post about like door-to-door sales, and I honestly haven't experienced that type of sales in a very long time. I just don't think that the door-to-door is necessarily effective. We just kind of have like a culture shift here in the US where, it's just a different environment. I know if someone came knocking to my door, I would almost be a little bit surprised that someone was even there. So I just haven't had a door solicitor. I think it became kind of less popular as, security and things like that kind of it changed up a bit. So for, some businesses that have a storefront and they really need to draw foot traffic, I think that there's some importance in like developing a website, even if it's like for just setting appointments. Like that's something that I think there's a lot of doctor's offices and medical offices and service offices, like even your, salons and things like that are using a website as an opportunity to get an appointment committed. And that usually is a good way to manage your foot traffic into a storefront. So, in retail, they'll display some of their best items and sales and opportunities for people to come in and interact. So I think that and social media is such a great way to connect with people that you may not get a chance to see face to face. I know some of my I've made purchases and decisions just with people that I've met networking professionally, and then at the opportunity that I could go into to meet them in person and see their location, I felt more comfortable because of just the fact that I'd had some previous conversations. So, Mohammed, I hope that helps your friend with the business and some ways that I think are effective to drive foot traffic and build a new client base. So I like to use, so just jumping back, thank you all for the questions and the comments. I mean, I'm glad to see everybody and thank you so much. But jumping back, I think storytelling is such a great way to show people how much you actually are interested in what's important to them, and and it shows that you're taking time to align, which is really important, in negotiations and the sales process and prospecting. Is just to make sure that you're in alignment. Like, the worst waste of time is to just sort of like grab a list and just start randomly calling people and creating your research that way, and just kind of shooting in the dark. I think taking your time to really understand what's going on in any industry's environment, and kind of understand the cultures and what people deal with in in their common situations. I think that is one of the best ways to get into a conversation that's more high level, that really makes somebody feel like you're not grabbing some of their important work time and taking away from them. So I like to kind of create sort of a history of conversations and details, and then I like to give myself bullet points so that when I am doing some research, I run across something, I can send out a follow-up email, which I think is like kind of the glue of relationship building, is to create a strong and significant presence with people that you're interacting with, and being focused a little less on your business and more on their business, and finding ways to be helpful, because the helping really is a win-win between you and your customer. I think we get into different conversations about being a helper, and where you have to have some boundaries with that particular topic, just because of how fast situations can develop, and internally and externally, and how that can kind of change up the focus especially for your customer. So but I feel like the most impactful thing that I've experienced as far as follow-up goes is every follow-up doesn't have to necessarily have a win in it, or a closure. Your follow-ups can just be ways that you stay in front of your customer, or your internal customers even. Being organized is one of the best ways that I create a strong follow-up process, is to schedule tasks for myself throughout the day, where I'll remember that it doesn't even have to always be a follow-up where I'm making a phone call. Sometimes it can be a follow-up on some research, just so that I'm allowing myself enough time to get back in front of the person, and have everything that I need to show them, or to discuss with them in front of me. It's not, so there's a little less of like, oh, I uncovered this, but I'll have to get back with you. And even if I find a company that isn't interested in change, and I just think that their products are really interesting and I like them, I'll even continue follow-ups that way. Because you never know. Down at some point down the road, there might be a service that only you have or a product that only you have. And if you're in front of them, even on a casual basis, they'll remember your name and possibly even, reach out to you and ask a question. So I like to kind of build my sales and account management process around being able to have a strong follow-up and really having a good story built up about the customer that I'm working with. Does anyone have any points that I didn't touch on, say that they think is successful or you think is successful for knowing your customer? Definitely put it in the comments even after the live stream's over. I think that's always just a great way to even put yourself in front of a lot of people, is to spend time sharing your opinions and and adding content to your profiles. You get seen more that way, and people can rely on what you say, because even if your opinion isn't popular or it's in opposition of somebody, it shows that you have experience and some viewpoints that may not be necessarily in front of everybody, in front of everybody now. And it can expand on, it can help people understand where the entire big picture is at in any one industry. So I think that's kind of it for knowing your customer. I hope that some of my points in my topic that's helpful and can be used throughout the week in anybody's process or their planning. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. And thank you so much for attending. Have a great day.